let's see what we got for Moscow time. Let's see how fake it is out there. Where's it hot? Let's start with where it's hot. It's so hot everywhere. UK is still hot. This is what we get from, this made it all the way to the New York Times. Whoa, parts of UK brace for the hottest day of the year. It wasn't hot before in the UK. Remember when it was, the warnings were out at 79 and 80. But guess what, guys? It's almost up to 90 degrees in England. The newspaper has to report it. Okay, it's 90. Temperatures were expected to reach near 90 on Tuesday. Near 90 degrees. Unusually warm for the region. The government issued a health alert for vulnerable groups. 90. Where else? Bloomberg says heavy rains hitting Germany while heat sears the Italian islands. So it's a little, they can't, they would love it if it was hot in Germany and, right, it would make the headline writing that much crisper, right? But instead, it rained, right? And then now they just call it red warnings, right? So red warnings for very heavy rain. In place for parts of Germany. Red warning. They're just telling you the colors now, okay? It's just like red weather, okay? Red. That's what the news is going to devolve to. It's just going to be color, adjective, and then event, okay? Color, adjective, and then event. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be. That's that. They tried to train you with the orange Donald Trump, right? So it's just like energy, adjective, or color, adjective, and then you get where you're going, right? We have red subjects coming up. Red warnings. But here's the heat part, right? Temperatures are forecast to reach 43 degrees in Sardinia, the furthest south of Italy, in an island. It's going to be hot in August. No way. I don't believe it. So what did they say before? Yeah, it was heavy rains hitting Germany, but then we get Bloomberg Green. Europe is likely to see scorching heat waves in the coming months. In the coming months. Impacting everything from power grids to crops. Europe's scorching hot days could stretch into the autumn. The scorching hot days could stretch into the autumn just as summer is ending, as in the end of summer. What's going to happen? We don't know. It's too hot. And this was one of my favorite ones, all right? Where else is it hot? Antarctic temperatures, everyone. It's hot in Antarctica. Antarctica temperatures soar 50 degrees above the norm in a long-lasting heat wave in Antarctica. So be careful. Bring your sunscreen to Antarctica, okay? This one's also good, okay? These are always my favorite, right? It was the hottest day in 50,000 years. It was the hottest day in 25,000 centuries. We know because we looked at the acorn fossils, okay? We checked out all the acorn fossils, and it was really hot 25,000 years ago, and we know all the temperatures in between, okay? So here's what we got from the, where am I reading this from? The Washington Post, I think. Here we go. The American West's last quarter century ranks as the driest in 1,200 years, research shows. So what they did was they went to the desert, right? And they looked at all the rocks. And then, you'd think they would just go look up like their digital archives over the temperature and just go grab those ones from 1,200 years ago. It's so easy, right? I mean, obviously the Aztec people and who else was out there? The Cheyenne people, right? Obviously, they had great temperature records. That's what they were doing. That's what everyone was doing out there. They go, okay, today we're going to have a sacrifice in the Mexican pyramids. And just like in a sports match, right? You get the temperature at the beginning. That's normal. So they had temperature things, right? And they took it all the time, and they went, for sure today, before we kill these people, we have all the records. Let's just see. And it was the same thing, right? So you'd have like a pregame right before they rip the hearts out and eat them, and then there was a pregame, and they'd say, "Welcome today to the Aztec sacrifice, and today the temperature is a breezy 39. We're lucky today. It's not so hot." Okay, but they have all these temperature records from all of the things. It's just been there forever. Okay, so now we know why we can tell that it's been the hottest quarter century, because they love to just compress them. That was also like a statistic they used back then, right? They would say, we put the quarter temperature things there, right? And then they go with it, right? So quarter century temperature marks are my favorite. My favorite markers are the quarter century aggregate temperature marks. They're super useful, guys. Everybody needs. Who doesn't need all the temperatures divided by 25 years, averaged out over 25 years? It's so useful. It's the most useful data we'll ever get, right? If we didn't have that, we wouldn't know, right? Yeah, exactly. The Aztec box score always had temperatures. If you guys don't know that about history, you're not going to be able to talk about the weather, okay? Because if you want to talk about the weather, you need to know at least the 1,200-year history of the Aztec box score temperatures. Otherwise, you're not in the game. You're not even playing, okay? So I only want players here. I don't want people who are like, oh, I don't really track the quarter century temperatures for the last 1,200 years around the desert, okay? You got to be able to do that. You got to be able to do that if you want to catch up and know what's going on, yeah? They had a flesh rot alert. Yeah, they also had fresh rot alert. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows they kept good stats. Everybody. So there you go, guys. We have a very consistent. They don't tell you in the article, but I'm just going to trust them. Okay, because they put up a marker in the data, right? 1,200 years, and they said today, and so I'm just going to trust that the Washington Post has a consistent data set of 1,200 years. And that we all know every quarter, and it was all broken down into perfect quarter century data aggregates. We know that, right? They had 4 for every one of these years, which means they clearly have a very consistent data point collection. It's 4,800 data points. It's beautiful. Thank God we had such consistent data keepers over the last 1,200 years. It's just perfect. I mean, I don't know what we would do. I don't know what we would do in the American West if we didn't have these heroes. They got to go down as heroes. We've got to build a statue. They're amazing people. All right. They're just the best. And if that's not enough, right? If it's not enough that we now know how bad it is, we're getting cooked, right? We got this guy, David Keith. He looks so healthy. I want to follow everything David Keith does. He looks like he just has such an optimistic idea about the future. I bet you I'd be so inspired by this guy if I came and, he was around, because he knows I bet you he knows the temperature from the deserts for the 1,200 years. I bet you he's memorized the aggregate quarter century data markers for temperature. He's that good. And he's got a plan. He says this scientist has a risky plan to cool the earth. We need it. It's been 1,200 years. Okay. There's growing interest. David Keith wants to spray a pollutant into the sky, block some sunlight. He says the benefits would outweigh the danger. Boom. Climate change over. We're done. David Keith, such an optimistic guy. He's going to save us. We love him. Awesome. So good. So good. All right. What else do we got here? That's it for temperature. Now I got to have a sip of coffee again. This is a mortal threat, everyone, to Moscow time. So please have another drink of coffee to my this is bad news for me. I've got some difficult times ahead. Okay, so I got to take this before I brace myself to tell you about the trouble that's in store. All right. Moscow time is not easy to put together, guys. Okay, I got to go into the newspapers. I got to see what's going on. I got to go in the Washington Post, CNN, and usually I know where to go, right? I know where to go to find it. But I just lost an incredible resource. CNN, everyone, is shutting down its opinion section. There's going to be no more opinion articles in CNN. And I don't know if Moscow Time can survive this. We'll see. I've got other sources. I'm going to keep doing my best to find it. But without CNN opinion section, which was shut down, it's going to be tough, guys. It's going to be tough. So we're losing one of our most fruitful, vibrant sources of Moscow Time information with CNN shutting down its opinion section. So yeah, pray for me, everyone. I know I just saw Everyday Walking with Christ. He is a big follower of Breakup and Moscow Time. So please pray for me today. I need it. I need sources for Moscow Time. With opinion piece being shut down at CNN, it's going to be tough. I think I'm going to make it, though. I think I can fill in the blanks. So I don't want to be pessimistic this morning and say that Moscow Time is going to fail. I believe we'll keep being able to do our broadcast. I believe that we'll continue to get a steady stream of Moscow Time information. I know Kamala's in the race now. So there's a lot of optimism out there. There's a lot of opportunity. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get more. But CNN shutting down its opinion section is a real blow. It's a real blow. But the good news is, because Trump's talking about Bitcoin now, I think we might actually have the critical combo we need to really light a fire under Moscow Time and really get an unlimited supply of this kind of news. And it looks like it might be starting, because what we've seen here is how quickly that the sludge people can pivot, right? We've seen this. So they can go from, this is what Nick Carter is saying, right? They can go from, it's all failing. You know, your Bitcoin and your crypto thing, it's failing. You know, you got Molly White, you know, this girl, she's like so edgy. She cut her hair in like an edgy way. And she's on the internet going, I got you, snap, gotcha. So she's out there, right? Molly White. And, you know, for a long time, she was like, look at these losers. They're failing. Woo. And then she's like, all of a sudden, oh, they have the biggest pack in the world now, and I'm going to track it. I'm going to track the biggest pack. Oh my God. Even though they were failing before, but now they've raised more money than any other political advocacy group in American history. I'm going to track it and I'm going to catch them, right? So there's a pretty quick pivot. She did a great job. Just a second. Gotta. Oh, I'm getting the evil eye from my daughter here. Yeah, you can get it. You can get another one. She's got some pink eye, which she has contracted over the past few days. There you go. So, yeah, the pivot from it's failing to it's a threat to democracy has just been great, right? It's just been great. So, we got this one from Paul Krugman. This is my last Moscow Time. The last Moscow Time. No, I've got two. Pardon me. So this is how quickly they pivoted, right? This is the last two Moscow Times before we get into our theme for the day. So Paul Krugman wrote, right? This is along the lines of the Molly White, right? Oh, it's so stupid, it's failing, but oh, it's a threat to democracy. It's the same in the same conversation. They can do it. It's amazing. So Paul Krugman, right? He's so smart. He won a Nobel Prize. He's so smart. Paul Krugman. What does Krugman say? He says, I didn't anticipate the political twists and turns of the past year. He didn't. Paul Krugman didn't anticipate. Paul Krugman couldn't predict the future. Oh my God. He got it wrong. Paul Krugman, but he gets everything wrong. Does he have to mention it? Okay. I didn't anticipate the political twists. He didn't anticipate them. So strange, right? So strange. He didn't anticipate the political twists, right? He's only an economist. What is an economist supposed to do, by the way? Economists project the future. They predict. That's their job. That's literally the point of economics. That's the point. You don't study it for any other reason. But who could have anticipated it? He couldn't anticipate it, right? And then he even asks, so he couldn't anticipate I forgot the last sentence. Paul Krugman says, I didn't anticipate the political twists and turns of the past few weeks, but then who did? Who did? Who knew? Who knew? Who knew? Who could have seen this coming? Who? One thing I do blame myself for, he says, right, is not seeing it coming, right? One thing I do blame myself for not seeing coming, however, is so he doesn't blame himself, okay? He doesn't blame himself for not seeing the political twists and turns. But one thing he does blame himself for is the extent to which this has become a crypto election. Oh, I didn't know. Who would have known? They were failing. It was done. And here they are again. What's happening? So he says, 6 years ago, it's only a 6-year track record of being an idiot. It's only been a 6 years record of being stupid. Come on, forgive me. It's just 6 years of being an idiot. That's fine. I'm a Nobel Prize winner. I won the prize, guys. I'm in the New York Times. Listen to me, okay? 6 years ago, I argued that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies serve no useful purpose, that their market value rested on nothing but technobabble and libertarian derp. I stand by that judgment, which has actually been reinforced by the passage of time. The time has passed and it's reinforced. But I didn't foresee how big a deal crypto would nonetheless become, not because it would fulfill its promise of replacing conventional money, which it hasn't and never will, but because it has become a powerful force that is, among other things, warping politics. Who could have seen it coming, guys? Who could have seen it coming? We don't know. We don't know who could have seen it. Does that? We don't know. It's just a mystery. And this one's great, right? These are the same economists, okay? The same economists, like Paul Krugman's buddies, right? And Molly White. They're sitting around. Oh, who could have seen it coming? Okay? And here, but now they're stumped. They're stumped because Donald Trump talked about Bitcoin the other day at the Bitcoin 2024 show, and Wired of all places, right? Wired, right? Aren't they supposed to know about the internet and stuff like that, right? So here's their headline: Donald Trump's plan to hoard billions in Bitcoin has economists stumped. They're stumped, guys. What are they? What's Donald Trump talking about? What does he want to stockpile Bitcoins for? What's going on here, guys? I don't know why you want to stockpile Bitcoin. I'm an economist, and I say Bitcoin stockpiling, I don't get it. Why? I don't understand. I just want to warp. I'm just here to warp politics. I don't know about, I want to stockpile Bitcoin to warp politics. And he goes, the former U.S. president has promised to establish a national Bitcoin stockpile if he's reelected and use it to offset inflation. But economists think the plan has little merit. They're economists like Paul Krugman, right? Who could have seen it coming? Who? I don't know. Who could have seen it coming? We don't. Nobody knows. No one knows. It's just too difficult. I couldn't have seen it coming. So here we are. That's Moscow time for today, everyone. That's Moscow time for today. Now,